Do you see differences now or into the future, Donny, as well, in terms of the kind of individuals that are going to be in the accounting firm, or the skills that firms are going to be looking to bring into the firm?
I think I want to touch first on the two examples that you gave, which is one caution that I'll give people is that when you're driving innovation, you don't want someone that's just a technologist doing it. And I'm going to point towards the broader picture of, for example, with artificial intelligence. You know, when you look at what IT is doing and they're driving this change and the use of it, whether it's self-driving cars, you know, artificial intelligence for data analytics, the question keeps coming up around, well, is this right? Or maybe the better way to say that is this ethical, right? So while it's great that a technologist can come and start to drive these things, we do need, I believe, that accountant's perspective in all that we're doing to ensure that there's an ethical lens that's being put against these decisions on how we use the technology and whether we use the technology. The other thing that I think is really important in our accounting space, and specifically in the audit space, is standards. And so as we start to look at that, if you're purely using your IT director or CIO or whoever to drive these changes, they may not be as aware of the standards of professional practice and, you know, and some of our core beliefs as CPAs and CAs. And so I think really you compared essentially the US versus the UK model. I think it actually needs to be a blend of the two. And the people that I see being most effective here in the US are those that have both the IT and the CPA blend, because they understand the process, they understand the technology enough to see how that technology is going to support that process. And then they also understand the people and the nuances of the staff versus the seniors versus the managers versus the partners, and can really look at you know, this holistic picture of what are we actually doing and what are all these pieces that come together. So I think that starts to blend and drive success and innovation. Now there's a lot of additional, I think, discussion on what you said around D&I, and usually when people talk about diversity, they're talking about racial diversity. And granted, while very near and dear to my heart as, you know, as an Asian American, I often learned that as I went and spoke, not just in different states around the US, but in different countries, that, you know, I get this question, well, you know, we're here in China, and it's not very diverse here, nowhere near as much as we'll see in perhaps in some of the other countries. So how do I get that diversity? Well, diversity is not just about the diversity of ethnic background, it's really about diversity of thought. And so if you're pulling people from different socioeconomic backgrounds, from different upbringings, that have different types of education, which is then the diversity within the profession, you know, and that I think is where we're going to start to see diversity really start to take hold and help drive our profession forward. Again, I'll kind of put myself forward as an example where back in the late 90s, I was that technologist, or actually that blend of CPA and technologist that was coming in and saying, well, you know, the technology can do it this way, or technology can let us do that. And that was different than the way the traditional auditor was approaching things, because I was like, let's grab data and let's run it through Microsoft Access at the time, and, you know, do some computations there, and I can do some set analysis. That was in the late 90s. We were already applying data analytics back then. And all it takes is this different understanding, this different discipline around what do we do. We see it in the fraud area. In the fraud area, you see a lot of the psychology starting to be applied, right? How am I looking at people's nonverbal communications, where their eyes are going, right? What are they doing with their eyes? That's, again, a different perspective. It's part of that diversity of what we are going to need in the audit profession to really drive the profession forward. Because it's not just about CPAs, it's about CPAs or CAs working with this diverse team that is bringing these different skill sets to really then form that opinion and be able to truly make it an accurate opinion.